Women Speak podcast, inspiring and motivating every Black woman to own, honor, and execute her amazing individually and collectively as it was established at birth.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Sunday, this Memorial Day, this Memorial weekend. I hope everybody is having a great time. I'm Crystal Gunn, host of Amazing Women Speak. And before we jump into this Lupus Awareness show, because it's Lupus Awareness Month, let's find out who is here with us today.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, it is a pleasure to be in your company. I'm excited to sit in the double seat tonight as co-host and guest to share a little bit about my journey as a lupus thriver. I'm really excited when I think about warriors in this work, warriors who are showing up every single day fighting the fight to give voice to all of us who are warriors. I'm really excited to have Christina Hayes in the house with us tonight. Christina, please introduce yourself.
Hello. My name is Christina Hayes, and I am a lupus warrior and a lupus advocate for so many other lupus warriors like myself. So I am very happy to be here on this podcast to share lupus awareness and give a highlight on how it is living life with lupus.
This is going to be really good. Before we get started, let me just do a quick sponsorship announcement. This podcast is sponsored by the Amazing Woman Network and AWN Cares. And I would be remiss if I didn't give a thank you to all who came out yesterday for our Red Dot Bag packing party, where we were packing sanitary supplies for 6 schools so that the students can have supplies over the summer. And of course, I have to give a special thank you to my BFF and co-host of Amazing Women Speak, who came in and ran the show.
And drove the truck.
And drove the truck.
Thank you. That was beyond an honor, right? 708 bags packed.
Oh my God.
For women, for young girls who should not have to think about what it is to take care of themselves during that time of the month.
Absolutely. So, you typically have a really great question.
Yes. So again, excited to be sitting in this seat as co-host and guest. And so, Christina, I want to open up this conversation to hear a little bit about your story. Right, like we get a lot of labels as lupus warriors, survivors, thrivers. What does it mean to be a survivor or thriver of lupus?
What does it mean to be a survivor or thriver, you said, of lupus? Well, I like to title or call people lupus warriors simply because I feel like you are a person that was given a diagnosis of lupus, but you are not letting that feel like some type of death sentence over yourself. You are refusing to be defeated. You are not going to lay down and stay down, but you are going to figure out a way to help heal yourself and not let a doctor tell you, like, this is it, and here's this diagnosis, and take this medicine. You are going to figure out how to live your life in spite of this diagnosis. So that's why I titled myself Lupus Warrior, because even though I've been given such diagnosis, I am refusing to let that just take over my life.
Right? So for those out there that don't know, what is lupus?
That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah, well, lupus is a autoimmune disease that causes extreme fatigue, major arthritis pains. It's your immune system attacking itself. So your immune system is hyperactive. Your cells are not able to understand or communicate like a normal person's body does. Like, say you catch a cold and your body's like, oh my gosh, let's attack these different cells that's in your body to, help you heal and be well. But a person with lupus, if you do our blood work, we have different levels that are all over the place. And if a doctor looks at us, they're like, whoa, what's going on with this person? Like, our bodies don't react like the normal, average, everyday persons.
So, and this is for both of you, and it's been a while, but I do remember initially like, were you misdiagnosed before? Did the doctors immediately say, "Oh, you have lupus," or was it, "We don't know what's going on"?
Yeah, so for me, this year will be year 26 for me. And it was absolutely no clue what is wrong with you. And so when they finally gave me the diagnosis, I felt like it was a death sentence because there were so many unknown factors at the time. And knowing that predominantly at that time, Black women were being diagnosed, which means there's not going to be any funding, right, to help us better understand what was happening. So I felt like I had nowhere to go. And so the first thing they started doing is like throwing all these different medications at you, right? When I'm still emotionally trying to understand what is happening with my body. Why is it attacking itself? I've done all the right things. I'm young, right? Like no answers. And so it really taught me what it meant to be an advocate for myself out of the gate because there were no answers for me.
Yeah, and just the same as Michelle's story, for me, I was 19 years old, fresh out of high school. I was heavy in track, basketball, major socialite. I was the president of our freshman year dorm campus. So I was doing everything, but then I just slowly started to get weak, and my body it was really weird. Like, it's like, I tell people, your body better than anybody else. So I was just starting to get really tired, and it was a different type of tired. Like, you can take a nap, and then you wake up, and then you still tired. So I was like, something is wrong. So it got to the point where I would sleep through when I'm supposed to go to class. So I started going to the doctor, like, I need a doctor's note, and I think something's wrong with me. I am way too tired. Like, this fatigue is mad real. So my doctor would give me some medication, like maybe have some type of flu bug or whatever. And, maybe you need some more vitamin D. Your vitamin D levels were a little low. So, and just sent me home. And it got to the point where after the fatigue started, I started having really bad arthritis pains. And I was starting to walk like I was an 80-year-old lady, and here I am 19. And so I went back to the doctor again. And, I'm in college, so I'm still trying to keep up with my classes, but I'm falling behind. And I'm like telling my doctor, okay, now my hands are really hurting. I can barely open them. They were like starting to freeze up on me. My body was hurting. And then it got to the point where I had a campus apartment. I moved into a campus apartment, and I was going grocery shopping. I couldn't even carry in a gallon of milk into my apartment. I was like, this is it. So this is like the 10th doctor appointment now. And I was going to the doctor's office that's near campus, just trying to go where it was close for me to go to since I had to go so many times. And the doctor, she gave me another story again. I refused to be told like nothing is wrong with me. I asked her, please send me to a specialist. Please send me to somebody else. And finally, they sent me to U of M Hospital, which was the nearest specialty hospital. And there is when they ran all this blood work on me and told me my diagnosis is called mixed connective tissue disease. So I do have an overlapping of 3 different autoimmune diseases, but lupus is the main thing that really affects me currently. So once I got that diagnosis, like she said, it's crazy how you really have to advocate for yourself because you feel like you're going crazy and you're not crazy. I tell you, you are not. You listen to your body. You don't let nobody tell you different, even if it's a doctor, because these doctors really don't even know either.
Right.
That's the crazy thing. So they don't know, you don't know. But you really have, and us as Black women, it's even harder because we're ignored and we're expected to be stronger than we are. So you really feel like, some people are fighting at home, pretending nothing is wrong. And
so how long from when you first started feeling like something is wrong with me, and this is for both of you, how long from that moment until you got diagnosis?
It was almost a year for me.
Yep.
It was almost a year for me. And so they write like a bunch of different labels along the way. First, right, like you're making it up. It's in your head. Right? And I started questioning myself.
Right.
Like, am I being dramatic? Is this really happening to me? To fibromyalgia, to straight up just arthritis, right? But there were some other things that were happening inside of my body that just did not make sense, right? Like even, like you said, the common cold turned into something that I was unable to function. And I remember very early in my job laying on the floor because I couldn't get up. Like I was just exhausted. I couldn't get up. So it was a little over a year Me too. U of M was a place that I ended up going. My mother took me, and I remember this like it was yesterday. We sat in the lobby and cried because, one, we finally had an answer, right? Didn't know what it meant.
Right.
But we finally had an answer, which gave us a starting point. And she's the one that forced me to go to U of M because I was done chasing. I was like giving up. And she was like, I'll pay for it, whatever it is. Like, you just need to go. Right? And so it was. And I remember that day sitting in the lobby. And then they talked about all of the factors. 26 years ago, you had to have 8 of the presenting factors. And I was like, nope, like, you can't put me in this box and make me check all of them before you recognize that there's something going wrong with my body that should not be.
So how has, and I'm probably jumping ahead, but how has treatments or response from doctors 26 years later, how has it improved? With the question mark behind that?
For improvement, I just feel like when I jump into these different support groups and everything for lupus, a lot of people who have been fighting so long, like for me, I guess it's been 14 years, and for Michele, you said 26 years. If we think back to what could have been told to us when we were first diagnosed, like, I wish there was a pamphlet given to me, like, here's a support group for other people that are going through the same thing as you. Here's where you can get help. This is not a death sentence for you. How about diet change? Like, can you talk to me about that, and what can that do to help change, my situation?
Well, how does that help? Or does it?
Oh, I think it extremely does. I started pain. When you go through so much pain, you get to trying to figure out, what can I do to do
myself?
You start thinking. You look on the internet. You look everywhere for any type of help or relief you can get. You find out what everybody else is doing that's feeling good. Some people said they got this diagnosis and they healed themselves, and I took this and that. So I connected with a herbal doctor, and I started taking some teas. I had to get rid of red meat. So you got to pay attention to certain foods that trigger you, and some of our bodies, we are just uniquely made, and we cannot eat everything. So I started noticing beef and pork and fast food, and pizza and all type of stuff would trigger me, and stress. Like, I was just paying attention to anything that was making my body feel like a blowfish. And that's why I say lupus is kind of like when it comes to stress or eating the wrong thing, your body can be fine, and then it just, like, you just feel like it just explodes, and it's all on the inside. And lupus is labeled an invisible disease because we don't look like how we feel. Like, we can look perfectly normal, but you have no idea the battle on the inside. So.
Christina, talk to me about how you respond to that, right? When people say, you look fine, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with you. You look okay.
The purse.
Yeah, talk to us about that reaction, right? When people say, you look fine.
I try to explain, like, the life of having lupus. And for me, I was going through kidney failure and was going to get chemo treatments, but I didn't want to look like a person going to get chemo treatments. So I did
that because of the lupus?
Yeah, the lupus had attacked my kidney so much where my kidney function had, like, decreased to, like, I can't remember what the percentage was. I was 21 years old when that happened.
Wow.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, your kidneys are failing, and they told me dialysis would not help me because the normal treatment for that, it would, like, my kidney function would still keep declining regardless of that. So they were like, chemo will stop my hyperactive immune system that was attacking my kidneys at the time. So I didn't even know how to process that, because I was only 21. I told my mom, at being diagnosed at 19 and going through all these medications, I was already over it. And being a young person, when they told me my diagnosis, my reaction was like, okay, so I have this disease. There's no cure, but y'all telling me it's some medicine that I could live with, but I can live comfortably. Like, y'all can help me out. So I just wanted to give me an answer. Give me some medicine. I was like, fine, give me these pills. I'll take them. Whatever can make me feel better. Because I just wanted to get back to hanging with my friends and living a normal. I was starting to feel like an 80-year-old and couldn't even move. So I was like, give me anything. Give me something. So I just took that. And when people I would get cute for my chemo appointments because I was in college going to get medications. People don't know. I just sat in this hospital room for 5 hours getting pumped with this horrible toxic medicine that makes you so nauseated. But I wanted to show up for my girls because they had a dance competition on campus. You know, I had to be there, but here I am busy seeing blue dots. I should not be there, but here I go. I look good though, but I just did chemo for 5 hours earlier that day.
Yeah, won't we dress it up?
We will look cute. I was cute, feeling like, oh Lord, y'all gonna have to call 911 in a minute. I should not be here because I look cute, but you have no idea what I just been through that day and what I'm going through every day. Just to show up and be present is just such a struggle for lupus warriors.
So you were coming out of high school, diagnosed with lupus. You were brand new mom, really.
Yep, new with Jasmine,
Right.
still getting, and they recommended that I terminate Kimberly.
Really? Mm-hmm. And they just probably said that so easily and just...
Yeah, we know early on, they were like, we know that the emotional toll and hormonal toll that pregnancy takes on your body is not going to be a good outcome for you. And my response to my doctor was, you don't know my God.
Exactly.
Not terminating. You don't know my God. But yeah, like we were having coffee, Crystal, absolutely, right? Like you should terminate your pregnancy. And I look back at it now, right? Like I recognize that I was being marginalized. I recognize all of those things about being a black woman.
You can check those boxes.
Right? Like I'm clear now.
Right.
I'm clear now. It wasn't so clear for me then. Yeah, that was... Yeah, so many defining moments in this journey.
Yes.
From going from victim to victor, and recognizing all of those spaces along the way. I still have moments to this day where I want to quit because it'll have its emotional toll and you're just over it.
The need to still show up, though. Because somebody said to me yesterday, well, of course I was going to show up for you. Right? But, and you showing up for your girls who a dance competition, and you're like, I'm seeing blue dots, but I'm still here. Where does the need to still show up come? Is it just or not just, but is it the strong black woman, or is it this disease can't get the best of me?
Yes and yes.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I say both. For me, I think I was blessed with my daughter, and she's 8 now. I named her Genesis because she's the beginning, and she was a blessing to me. And the doctors told me the same thing, like, you're gonna see white coats through this pregnancy. You might not make it. Your daughter might not make it. It's a balance game here if you decide to have this child.
Did you all have any black doctors along the way?
No, I did not. No.
We
and
need more people that look like us.
Correct, right? Specializing, right? And I remember the amount of guilt that I felt. Kimberly came here with problems. I didn't get to see her. Out of me, into ICU. She was 6 days old the first time I got to see her. Head shaved on the side with IVs because they had all... I felt like I caused that, right? Like, again, still, young mother... the emotional toll of that was just, I felt like that my body had done that to her, and I kept playing like they told me.
Right.
They told me, and I questioned. Right, wrong is wrong. I questioned. Should never. Right, like the same faith I stood on.
Right.
When I said, you don't know my God.
Yeah.
And to watch that process in that moment and feel helpless, yeah. People don't understand, right? Like, if I showed up like I look, like I feel on the inside.
Yeah, how do you, yeah. Warriors for real. Like, I just, so, other than changing the diet, and, you know, I mean, being a fitness guru you are, how did that piece help more than anything else?
Yeah. One of the things when you're exhausted, right, like you don't want to move. And being sedentary is horrible for us, especially when it presents as, right, like the arthritis, the joint stiffness. And that's primarily how, like when I have a flare, walking, like there have been times when my husband would have to carry me up a flight of stairs. So I know that movement is necessary for my body. And so even in pain, I try to do something. And then when I was doing it, I discovered I had more good days, right? Like they say in the lupus community, one good day could cost you 3 bad. I was willing to roll the dice on that because just moving felt good. And I think I was sharing last week that it had got so good, I took my eye, Christina, off of paying attention to the signs. And then I was in a flare and I was like, whoa, right? And then it started having its emotional impact on me. And I'm struggling emotionally. And saying that out loud for the strong Black woman feels like weakness, and yet realizing it is my strength to say it out loud.
And because not only is it your strength, it's the strength of someone that's listening. Because it's someone else sitting there saying that they won't say that. But how do you ever address it, come around it, cope with it, unless you admit it, I would think.
Yeah, for me, I always tell people I feel like you have to sometimes be in that dark place to figure out how to get back to the light. And then once you figure that out, you can help somebody else that's been there or going through it. So that's why I had created the Christina Project. I was 23 years old, and I also deal with hypertension with lupus as well. Like my blood pressures go sky high. Just I could be sitting here normal and it'll go sky high. But I had went into a coma, and I was in a coma for like 2-3 weeks. And at the time, of course, there was no Lupus Awareness going on. There was no Nick Cannon. There was no Tony Braxton talking about lupus yet.
Right.
Like, so nobody still knew what lupus was. And my mom, they told her, like, we don't know what else to do for your daughter. We can't get her blood pressure under control. She's just going to be like this for a minute. So if you want to sit here at the hospital with her, you can. And she said during that time, she was just thinking, how can I get awareness out here about lupus? How can I share what we going through? Because I wasn't really sharing so much of what I was kind of quiet about it. I didn't tell people a lot about it. So I ended up waking up, thank God, a week later, pulling out, my mom said I woke up screaming just out of this coma I was in, and the doctors couldn't believe it. But she just told me my whole experience. I don't remember any of that, but I just knew from there I needed to help other people that were going through the same thing as me, and like, let's figure this out together. Let me tell people what my life is like, and then uplift other people going through the same thing as me, because my mom was going through it, and there's other people with lupus whose moms don't know what to do to help them, like my mom. So I was like, okay. She was like, it's called the Christina Project, and this is what we're gonna do. So I was like, all right, Mom.
Shout out to Mom.
Okay. So I was like, I'm with it. Yes, I'm gonna share my story. I'm gonna share with people how I pull myself out of these dark mental states when my health gets a little rocky. And I remember it was one time when Michele was going through it, and I was seeing her post, and I was like, what's your address? What is your address? And she lived kind of far from me, good 45 minutes, but I jumped in my car, and what I do is I show up with gift items, T-shirts, these special butterflies made all the way in Nigeria. They're really, really nice.
They're beautiful.
Yeah. So I show up, I go to hospitals and visit lupus warriors, and I just sit there with them. I bring flowers, gift cards, balloons. I come like a whole happy parade just to uplift people. And so just doing that, it uplifts me. And I feel like I always say we fight together and we win together, because when we have our bad days, we can all lean on each other or talk to each other, find ways to uplift each other when we are going through those bad days. So that's just...
So what are the statistics? Like, how does it impact Black women versus everybody else?
Yep, so it's in the Black and brown communities. A little bit of attention started being paid when Asian women started getting diagnosed. And then a little more attention when white women started getting diagnosed. And then funding started really coming in when white men started getting diagnosed, although they're the smallest percentage, right? Like, it's still Black and brown, right? And the presenting age, if it hasn't changed, is 18 to 35.
Yeah, that's what
I think, yeah.
I'm trying to keep my facial expressions together right now, because
Right?
that's such bullshit, but go ahead.
For real.
Yeah, and it is, and it's the reality of it. So it's still predominantly Black and brown women, and the problem is, I believe the number would even be higher, Crystal, if more of us kept pushing, if we really knew how to advocate.
Right.
Right. I am clear there are many women out there who have not either been diagnosed or they've been misdiagnosed.
Oh, I'm
and
sure.
They're struggling, right? And so when I think about things like the Christina Project that brings the level of awareness and support, just a reminder that you're not alone. I was 6 weeks at home and the isolation was setting in. And that butterfly sat on my desk and I was able to, my nightstand, and the coloring, like all of those small things, somebody else recognizing what you're going through. The statistics aren't great for Black and brown folks, but they're willing to invite us into experimental medication.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right? Like they're willing to invite us to the table.
There's so
for
many
that.
other dynamics that cause us Black and brown women to be more of the people being diagnosed. Like we are faced with more poverty levels. The patient-doctor relationships are horrible. The insurance issues are more amongst us. Like it's so many things that are faced right there, and the pandemic has highlighted that. Like you saw who and where was dying, and this pandemic was really hitting, and they were showing the hospital staff didn't even have enough staff, they didn't have enough PPE, all of those. And then we got the pollution, like in the Southwest area. I was discovering, I had a Latina friend, and she was just telling me how all of them there have asthma and all these type of issues just because of the pollution. And they live by the factory. So it's environmental, and we got climate change happening now. God bless us. We're gonna have hotter summers, colder winters. It's just so many things that don't get looked at that we're facing.
So to the woman that's out there now, feeling some of that they just don't feel right, feeling some of these symptoms that you all have talked about, what do you tell them? What do they do what should they do when they go to the doctor and the doctor says, you have a cold, it's this, or it's just, it's just this, and they write you a prescription for, put that Band-Aid on that symptom. What should they do?
I would tell people, always listen to your body. You know your body better than anyone else. Don't let a doctor no matter what, don't let a doctor tell you that nothing is wrong when you are feeling it, because the horror stories that I've heard, like it's sad that we have to advocate so hard for ourselves, but it's a must.
Sure.
You have to ask to see a specialist, make changes, drastic changes in your life. Some people, we know a part of healing is also knowing the parts where you hurt in your own self. So we have to look at ourselves as well, like see what stressful situation you are in life, because some people I've talked to, just being a support group leader, we go through so many other different dynamics in life that can cause our health to decline as well. So you got to look at your life and see where we can cut in to bring that peace, change your diet, all of that good stuff to start feeling better, and even try working out, because that is a true, like yoga and whatnot, just anything to mentally help yourself. You have to sometimes we got to figure it out on our own a little bit, because the doctors are not going to have all the answers. They will not. But we don't get to just popping all these pills either, all this medication that the doctors are offering. You have to read and research. I'm also a patient advocate at U of M, and my rheumatologist, she is so wonderful because our relationship is so great, and she teaches these big groups of like 300 medical students, and she brings them into a big auditorium, and I explain to them the importance of the doctor-patient relationship. Like, once you tell a person, hey, this is your diagnosis, don't you dare give them some medication that's going to have them nauseated all day and not warn them or tell them, hey, like, I was like, don't give me no medicine. I'm going to be hugging the toilet and you didn't tell me. Don't give me this medicine and I'm a mom and I have an 8-year-old. Don't give me this medicine. I need to function and go to work. Like, at least tell me, like, and explain this, and picture me as if I'm your daughter or your mom. Like, have some type of sympathy. Like, that is so important. Look at your patient when you're talking to them about their health. Like, pay attention to the different ailments that they're saying is wrong with them. So it's very rare to have a good doctor-patient relationship at that much. So it's hard, how do you even trust a doctor when you don't even know what's going on in your body, and then you got to deal with not even trusting the doctor.
And because they don't know what's going on in your body.
And the part of that challenge is that it presents in each one of us so differently, right? And so when you talk about the invisible, not even just what it looks like with you looking at me, right? Like, we both sit here as warriors with two very different journeys with how this is showing up and how it's impacting our bodies. And so one of the things I would invite women to do is to start writing down the things that you're feeling and experiencing, right? The things that you're trying, so that you can understand where your triggers are. And then when you go into the doctor, you're not going from an emotional place, right? Like, here are the things that my body's been doing. Here are the things that I've been trying, so that you can get a better handle on it, because we know that we live in a pill-pushing America. And the first thing they're going to offer you is the medication, right? And so, and not that that's always going to be the wrong answer, right? Like, sometimes it is the thing that you have to do, but pay attention, right? Like, knowing what it's doing to your body. And then when you're on multiple medications, knowing how they're going to interact. And what are the things it's going to cause your body to do. Now, like, I had to change my primary care physician. If I go in with a shoulder pain, she will blame lupus. I was like, sometimes a shoulder pain is just a shoulder pain, and I need you to address that. So anytime I have to go into ER, I never, ever reveal that I have lupus. Because I need you to treat what you see first, and then we can talk about all of those other things, because it is extremely frustrating for you to minimize and maybe misdiagnose something that's going on in my body because you want to blame it on lupus and send me away with a steroid pack and tell me to take or up my dose on my Plaquenil and think that that's going to make everything okay. No.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No.
So let's go back to where you answered yes and yes. Strong Black woman, and because you don't want to feel defeated yourself, right? But let's talk about that strong Black woman side of it. And I like really because I get no, I'm not, this disease isn't going to get the best of me, right? But adding that layer of strong Black woman when you're showing up when you really shouldn't be showing up for someone else.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you.
I know you are.
Okay. I'm just,
I know you are.
Yeah, okay.
Right? It's something about needing to feel, I'm air quoting this, right? Feel normal.
Yeah,
right?
To keep going. Like, I had posted in one of the support groups, I was like, I know we all got a chronic illness, but what do y'all do for a living? What do we do? We are not just lupus warriors.
That, right.
Like, Michele is the bomb.com. I was reading, like, you got a new position, I think it was. Like, we are amazing. Even though we have a chronic illness, it's like, come on, let's talk about something. Let's still talk about, like, we are still living. We are more than lupus. Like, what? That's like, so you continue to inspire people just by the fact that you have a chronic illness, but you still have a job. Like, for me, lupus ended up pushing me into my career field. I'm a state paid leave organizer now, so I fight to make sure that everyone in Michigan has access to paid leave. And how and so how I ended up there, I was going to work, working for corporate America, making these big companies all this money, and I was a top performer, but I needed to go get my chemo treatments for lupus. I stopped going because I had FMLA. Yes, FMLA, it was job protection, but after so much, everybody knows they'll force you to use all your vacation days, and then you go without no pay. So it was getting crazy. I had to take care of my daughter, so I was like, I stopped going to my appointments and I passed out at work. And a young lady there was like, she was seeing I'm sharing my story about lupus on my different platforms. She was like, it's an organization that you can share your story with that can help change laws about this, paid leave that we need for situations like, what I was going through with lupus, and she had a daughter that just had a stroke. So needed paid leave for time when you're sick, for sick time, So I was excited. I was like, okay, let me join this organization. I joined with them. They were like, Christina, we are going to help you tell your story in the most effective way. You're going to be talking to Congress members, our elected officials. We were just in DC last week speaking with the vice president's staff, which is amazing. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the White House. I was freaking out. Like, just sharing my story and the fact that no one should ever have to choose between their health and going to work.
Right.
And America is so far behind. Like, it's still people have no access to not a single paid day off. So I've been an advocate for that. I've been in Time Magazine, the New York Times, Detroit News. So I've been so blessed to effectively share my story. And now I want to help other lupus warriors be able to share their stories, make a big army of us. So I'm marching in Lansing next week, but as my new job, I'm leading to uplift those stories to our Congress members and bring about change. And I'm working with Senator Erica Geis, and we're talking with bill drafters, making a new legislation and everything. So it's so exciting doing all this behind the scenes. But lupus will lead you sometimes in a whole nother path, but we just have to find our path in our crazy world of fighting the chronic illness. And for me, doing this is, making me feel stronger and feeling like I can help people who are, fighting through this, and not just us complaining or talking about our issues, but actually telling somebody like, hey, this is what the struggle is and this is what we need. So
it's so crazy that bravo to you for that, because I think that's absolutely amazing. But one thing that I continue to hear you say over and over again is the fight for it. You got to fight for your doctor to even pay attention to you. You have to not tell the truth in ER so that they look at whatever that issue is that you went to ER for in the first place. You got to sit before Congress to fight so that somebody can say, why you got to fight? All my life I had to fight. All my life. And it's like, we laugh at that, but it's, I don't know.
Us black superwomen, we tired. We tired. We tired of fighting.
Jeez.
That's just at the end of the day.
And I know there's not even an answer to the question that I had, which is why I just stopped. But it's just absolutely ridiculous that in 2022, we're still in 26 years later, it's still a fight every single day to just get someone to say, okay, I see you. Like, do they even know, like, what's the thing that, okay, because I can't think of another word, I'm going to say causes lupus in the first place. But I don't even think that that's the right word to use. But
I know, like where does it come from, this lupus? Right. They're not really completely sure. It's like these ANA levels, like in your blood work, that they say supposedly look at. It is important to know your family's medical history. I think it's heavy in my family. My mom ended up being diagnosed with the chronic illness as well. Her twin sister. My granny deals with an autoimmune disease. I heard my great grandmother as well. So my family is definitely, I wouldn't say plagued, but it's like, if I look down my family history, we definitely have a lot of chronic illnesses that we don't have much awareness about. So it's definitely important to look at your family history. But then I think just also different traumas in life too can bring some things upon us and change the way our body decides to function. But I think once you're given a diagnosis, really what I say that is just a wake-up call for you to pay attention more to your body. And from what I've learned or what I've seen, I know we call it a fight, but our what do I want to call it? Our maneuver, our adapting to this, we found a way that we're going to still live and try to thrive as best as we can. So we have more good days than we do bad, that's for sure. But if you just lay down and you let a diagnosis get the best of you, you don't make any changes for your body, you will just, I guess, sit there and feel like it's your deathbed. And like for us as the strong black woman status quo, we are always still the ones trying to find somebody and uplift them to keep on fighting, to find a way to still live regardless.
So what is the lupus being fatal? Like, is that a thing that, or is it because you had lupus, something else was the thing? Like COVID went with those, those people who already had
pre-existing.
Right. It made it more difficult for them. And a lot of, is that the same type of
I see what you're asking.
Thank you.
Right,
Yeah.
like lupus doesn't stand alone.
Right.
Right. So there's always another coexisting factor
Yes.
that's presenting itself. So will you die of lupus alone? Right? Like lupus doesn't stand alone. When you're talking autoimmune, right? Like when you start talking about strands of DNA and your body fighting itself, right? That already leaves you predisposed to other things, right? Like
Right.
even Christina mentioned, like environmental is
Right.
also one of those factors that you have to pay attention to. And then every single day it changes your cell count. And so again, which leaves you more exposed to other things, right? So I'm not sure. I haven't seen any research, right? Like that on your death certificate.
it's
says,
right.
right. Like it would be complications from.
Yeah, it's usually from the Lupus Warriors, just from being a support group leader. When it comes to like people that I've seen that have passed away, like one lady, she had extreme fluid buildup because she was seeing 4 different doctors all outside of different health care umbrellas, so they weren't communicating with each
Wow.
other about the medication she was taking. So she
Right.
was taking like 6 different blood pressure medications that caused all this fluid buildup in her body. So by the time her family members called me, like, oh, call the Christina Project so she'll come and visit mom and see what's going on, and she told me her story, and it is just tragic when all these doctors are not communicating with each other and giving you all these different pills, and she didn't even know it. And a week later she passed away, and it was fluid buildup from taking too many different medications that were interacting with each other. And I knew that just from going to visit with her.
Right.
You know, sometimes we feel like a doctor ourselves. We start researching, what does this
Well, 'cause
lab
you have
number
to.
mean? Yeah, so I was just like, oh my gosh, just like, I thank God that I have 7. When you have lupus, you end up with all these different complications. So I have to see the kidney specialist, I have a lung specialist, I have a the nerve specialist. And when you go see all these different specialists, they'll all give you different medications, but if they're all at different hospitals, they're not all seeing your
Right.
chart. So it makes it so crazy, but I'm blessed that my specialists speak to each other. They all know what type of medications I take. So it's different things like that. But like you said, like, are you dying from lupus or complications of lupus? Lupus will cause many different type of ailments that can be fatal. Like for me, my hypertension, going into the hospital with 224 over 220,
Ooh.
but blood pressures all the time. Those doctors always tell me, you can have a stroke. You know that, Miss Hayes. You do know that. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty aware. I know. So that, and then other people go in with other conditions that could be fatal. So it is so many different things that can cause fatality, I guess, within having lupus. And then I'm still trying to figure out how to deal with it when people say, oh, you have lupus. My auntie had it, but she died.
Right.
They'll be like, my cousin, I loved her. Her spirit was so beautiful and she was just like you, but she died. So it's like, I know that they're coming from a place of hurt from whoever they lost, but at the same time, it's really not helping me feel better. But I'm like, I'm so sorry for your loss. This is a fight that I'm still dealing with in the
Right.
present.
Right.
And then you like, am I supposed to console you, or I'm just supposed to
right.
run away because you're scaring me? But so I'm still trying to process how you handle that.
So the people who love the people with lupus, right? Like, what's that like? No, here's a better question. What do you want them to know and do?
Wow, that's a really good question, right? In my household, we say lupus is a team sport. I am not in this journey alone, right? Like everything that, right? My children grew up watching it, and then after I got married, Harper made it his business to become educated. So learning, right, about lupus in general, and then start paying attention to your partner, start paying attention to your child, like whomever is diagnosed. Pay attention, because what you read, you won't be able to find a direct line to what that individual is experiencing, right? And make sure that you have a village that will love on you during those times and can help you still find the joy and the laughter, right? Like, so Lupus Detroit, every single day this month, has posted different things that I've reposted. Just learn, become more aware, so that you can show up and help us pay attention, because sometimes we are busy living life as we should get to. But knowing when you need to slow down, knowing when you need to say no instead of giving a yes, having that kind of connection is really, really important. Like my tribe became really important to me. I remember maybe 17 years ago, I randomly washed my hair and it was in the sink. Mm-hmm. Like I had done a perm that I left on too long. Like literally and hair is just coming out. And you know how black women in our hair.
Listen.
Right? Like our crown and our glory. And to watch that happen, mm-hmm. right? Like the trauma that I felt, the fear that I felt. And so when I tell you, I tell Andre Healy all the time, he's more than just my hairdresser, he is my friend. I don't know what I would have done without his prayers, his love, and his laughter to get me through mm-hmm. that. And I remember the first time sitting back in his chair, and he went to tug on my hair, and I freaked out. He was like, "You're fine. You're fine.
Like,
calm down. You're fine. Like, we got this, right?" Like, I had to find some laughter in the middle of all of that because I couldn't understand. Like, randomly, I just washed my hair.
Because he'd break out and act like he was having a seizure at the...
Right, so making sure that the people that you're surrounding you with love you enough to pay attention to who you are and the way that the illness shows up for you so that they can love you through that.
Yeah, I always say like loving a lupus warrior is not easy because we need a lot of extra love a little bit. But when people know that you have lupus, a lot of times if they really love you, they're going to try to understand it. They're going to jump on Google too and be like, okay, what is causing this? Okay, you get fatigue. And I've noticed a lot of friends will keep constantly saying, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? They'll check like 30 times and yes, I am. I greatly appreciate my tribe. You know, you really got to find that circle that will support you. But were you about to say something?
Yeah, because you said something that they will ask you, are you okay? Are you okay? But is your yes the automatic yes? Yes, I'm okay. But when you're really not okay?
Yeah, a lot of time, lupus warriors, we gonna tell you, yeah, we okay, and we are not. We are not. I'm sitting there like, oh Lord, I probably should go to the ER right now, but I'm hanging with y'all. I be hurting. I'm telling y'all, the things we do just to try to have a little bit of a normal life. No, like I was having like random ankle swelling, so I wanted to be cute and wear some heels, and that was just like a no-go. So I had to always go by little flats, and I'm like, I'm going, y'all, but I'm walking with a limp, but still showing up. But
I think 7 out of 10 times our okay is not okay.
Right.
On a normal day.
Yeah.
7 out of 10 our okay is not okay.
But your tribe gonna know.
Every single day, there's something happening where your body is fighting against you. And then, right, like sometimes it's on a 2. And I should never have to function at a 6 and be okay. Right? Like, if your pain level 6 and I'm pushing.
Right.
Most people will sit down at a 6. Like, I'm good on a 6th day. And it shouldn't have to be that way.
And it's interesting you say that because you mentioned last week and then us yesterday in conversation, the flare that you're having, and it kind of caught you off guard because you had not been paying attention. But, like, I wouldn't have known that you were having a flare because you still was online at 8 o'clock training us, and you know what I mean? And you still were training people in person and doing your day job and showing up for this, that, and the other. Like, when does enough become enough that you say, you know what, I need to cancel everything today?
Yeah, that number's an 8. That number's an 8. When I'm at an 8, like
Wow.
I have to shut it down. Anything above an 8, it's shutting me down. Right. But when I'm paying attention, 6 is okay, and it should.
So out of 30 days, not when you're having a flare though, mm-hmm. but out of 30 days, how many days are a 6? I mean, like, is pain the norm every day, but it's just on varying levels?
For me, yes.
Yeah, I have some pain-free days where I don't feel pain, but it's just the sporadic or randomness of it. I couldn't even tell you, like, throughout the month. And it's random. For people who don't understand, you can be great one day, and it's the next day that might be a
And you don't even have to wait till the next day, right?
Yes, the hour or two later.
Great, right? I woke up feeling great, and 2 hours later, I don't know a day without pain. I don't know a day with a 4.
Really?
No. Mm-mm. Right? And again, there's other conditionings, right? Like I have degenerative bone disease. So 3 surgeries later, right? Like there are other things that are happening. So I don't know if every day is connected to lupus, right?
True.
But there's not a day that I don't live with some level of pain.
Yeah.
And that takes an emotional toll. Yeah.
And to keep showing up for other people, like I don't even know if I have another question.
So the quandary, right? Like for me personally, is the days when, right? Like you become so accustomed to constantly showing up that when you don't, people have this expectation that you're still supposed to show up. And they don't pay attention, right? Like
It's the definition. Check on your strong friends.
Right.
Check on your strong
'cause we are not
friends.
okay.
Yes.
Right.
And
Yeah.
You just I went and visited this lupus warrior in the hospital, and she was having an issue with her stomach, and a lot of us have a lot of gastro issues with the intestines and the cramping and all this mess when you have lupus. Your stomach is sensitive, but she was constantly throwing up, and the acid levels in her throat was burning her throat, and then she said she had to have the surgery for that. It was a mess, and so she was enduring some really bad pain. So I knew that. But we were visiting her and helping her laugh, and we were talking. And right as we were about to leave, my mother and them were in the hospital with me, also visiting her. They left out, and we were all leaving. But she grabbed my hand right before I was leaving out, and she was like, she just started crying, and she was like, "Christina, I'm ready to give up." Like she was in the sense of talking like she wanted to even figure out a way to end it. Like she was done, and she was like, "What's the point of waking up every day when you know it's gonna be pain, or you know you're not gonna feel good? Like, how am I supposed to do this? What am I supposed to do?" And there's a person in the ER, and I gotta leave you, but I gotta figure out something to tell you.
What did you tell her?
I started crying too, but I was like, you know what?
Right.
I was like, I've been here, I've been you, and I was like, it was really bad, and I was like, I just had to find this delirious type of faith to pull and know that my good day was coming, or it is on the way. Like, I am not going to be in this. My current situation is not my final destination. My current situation is not my final destination. I had to keep saying it because that's what the pastor came. My mama had the bishop come and pray for me and everything, because I was on that point of giving up too. Like, how am I supposed to? You have to have some major faith. Like, this is not a journey for the weak
at all.
You have to put on that strong mental cap to be like, this is not where I'm gonna stay. This is not how. My good day is coming. You really just have to say that regardless every day. Yeah. I don't know where you find that light critical. At. Yep, affirmations. You get manifestation affirmations. Find your person. Find that group. People say they don't have support, which some people really don't. Like, I'm blessed to have a family and major support group, but because I notice other people don't, that's why I created my project. Other people have organizations and projects that are there to help uplift you. Please find those. Please, if you cannot do it yourself, sometimes we are not that strong. Please find somebody when you get to feeling like, why?
So those on Facebook, check Christina Hayes out, right? Like, I've tagged her on my page. Check her out. If you are in this journey alone, if you need a support group, if you need some answers, the work that she's doing in this space is absolutely incredible. It is life-giving. It's life-affirming. Reach out to her if you have questions. She can make connections. When I don't know, I still reach out to her. So yeah, don't ever feel like you have to go through this thing alone. You should not have to be alone in this. And your thoughts, your fears should be validated.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And sometimes you just need to be in company with those who understand the struggle to get the right kind of validation. Because until you have to deal with your body fighting against you every single day for a sense of normalcy, you don't know what that's like.
Yes.
I don't know. I think everybody listening should have a different perspective. because amazing and warrior, in my opinion, just does not. It doesn't do what you all go through on a daily. It doesn't do it justice. Like, it just doesn't do it justice, and it put a whole new meaning behind Michele Strong. Like, it just is. How do you, I don't know, shake off, come back from going and sitting with somebody who says, you know, that they're ready to give up? That's heavy.
It was
like,
heavy.
How
that
was
the first person. This was me being like, okay, the Christina Project is going to be about going to see people in the hospital. I'm ready. I'm ready to go see some people in the hospital. This is the first person. I was like, oh, I was not ready. I thought I was so ready because I'm like, I've been there and, you know, I know what it's like. Like, I done been there, but that was rough. It was really very heavy. But that was the platform of keep going, because it was story after story after that.
Well, you guys are so incredibly dope. And now I feel like I'm almost gonna, like, so what, 30, I don't know how many years Say
BFF.
Right. But this conversation has given it a whole new perspective because she is so strong, because she doesn't say, you know, it's always I feel okay, right? But it's so now I'm gonna be sitting there in the room watching her, like, she gonna say, "Quit looking at me," like, because,
you okay?
Yeah,
you gonna be that, you okay?
but right. But just leave us with some parting words. I celebrate both of you and what you do every single day for not only yourselves, but for others, because you all could easily sit in it and say, this is my, you know, this is my thing, and just never mind anybody else and just deal with it on your own. So I celebrate you, but we are truly out of time. I thank you for being here. I thank you both for sharing your story. Michele, go ahead and take us home, please.
Absolutely. My name is Michele Harper. I am a Black woman, and I absolutely own my amazing. This journey is not for the weak, and I own every bit of this journey. I would not trade in one day of this. God gave me this part for a reason, and I'm going to find a way to keep showing up and giving him the glory for making me a thriver, not a survivor, one more day. Christina.
Yes, thank you for having me on the podcast. My name is Christina. I am a Black woman, and I own my amazing in spite of having lupus.
Absolutely. Yes. Christina, just give some contact information, how someone can reach out to you, because this Christina Project is absolutely something needed.
Yes, God has just been blessing the Christina Project with funds and funds and funds, but it is on the road to being an official 501c3, nice. So I'll be able to help more people. But you can find me on Facebook at The Christina Project, and also the same on Instagram at The Christina Project as well. So both of those, and just send me an instant message, and I'll always reach back out.
Bravo, bravo. Thank you. Thank you to all of our listeners, whether you're here with us live or if this is on the replay. I hope you continue to have a great and fantastic holiday weekend. I couldn't think of a better way to end Lupus Awareness Month than with these two dope and dynamic sisters. Thank you, everybody. I am Crystal Gunn. I am a Black woman, and I too own my amazing.